Jeez. Now that's a friendly-looking face. That's how I imagine a bloodthirsty Russian czar would look like. Wild eyes, evil glare, and expensive clothes. I'm quite sure that he didn't earn the bling on his fingers and round his neck through hard work. I'd say something like a knight or a nobleman. And judging by his clothing, he must have been around 100 years ago. He seems somehow familiar. Probably an ancestor of the Gordons. A huge metal globe. A monstrous thing. There's some letters engraved in the stone plate on the globe's pedestal. There are names. A whole series of them. Wait a minute. The first name is Maximilian Mortimer Gordon. That's the name from Angelina's notes. Does that mean... Huh. I can't hear anything. But the stone slab could be the lid of a secret compartment in the globe's pedestal. And it would be an ideal hiding place for a piece of mosaic. Huh. Ralph was talking about a shiny black car. Is this the one he saw? But who drove from the castle to the crime scene this morning? And what were they doing there? An old wooden ladder. It seems to have been used a lot. The rungs are really worn and smooth. An old wooden staircase. Probably leads to the stableman's room. The gate must have been replaced a short time ago. The wood still looks new. But I don't think there's anything suspicious about that. Hey, Lewis.
You again? I thought you'd been thrown out.
Lady Victoria gave me permission to have a look around the castle and the gardens.
How nice of her. What do you want?
What can you tell me about the castle?
Nothing. A big, ugly building.
With an overgrown garden.
What have I got to do with that?
Aren't you the gardener?
My garden's a few 100 miles west of here.
In Wales.
That's right.
So you just do the bare minimum here, if at all.
The garden's too big for one man alone, and what's the point in looking after it? This whole place is doomed. The house is falling apart. The lady won't live for much longer, and Bates is as good as dead.
You're hoping that Lady Eleanor will return to Wales when Lady Victoria dies?
Perhaps.
That's a nice car.
Certainly is. The only decent surprise here. I discovered it behind the stables, built it back up from scratch. My father used to work on a car like this, and he taught me quite a bit.
Do you sometimes take it out for a spin? To the coast, for example?
I drive the ladies. They used to still have bloody horses in the stable, but looking after them was too much effort for the old folks. Now, this is the only pair of wheels. But the ladies don't leave the house much at all. Bates usually walks to the village. He says it's good for his health. But every time it takes a bit longer.
You weren't at the coast with the car this morning?
No.
What can you tell me about Lady Eleanor?
If you want to know something about Lady Eleanor, then you better ask Lady Eleanor. She's her own favorite subject.
You mean she's egotistical?
She threw everything away and fled here in a mad rush after Sir Richard died. Who does such a thing?
The castle and the garden in Wales reminded her of her dead husband.
And she should have thought of the family history. You don't just give up an house where generations have lived and worked.
How did her husband die?
He blew himself up. Did all kinds of strange experiments. In the last years, he became obsessed with uncovering the secret of what drove Sir William and his sons insane. He hardly left his lab anymore, and collapsed in exhaustion more than once. Her ladyship was very worried.
Bates seems to be very tired.
He's terminally ill. The doctors say it's a miracle he's still alive. But let me tell you, Bates will kick the bucket on the very same day that Lady Victoria dies. Like a dog that follows its master. I think he just finds it unfitting to die before his mistress.
He says he's worked for the Gordons for more than 70 years, and that he knows all their secrets.
I believe that at the drop of a hat. No one knows the castle and garden better than him. But when it gets to his own bonds, he's getting forgetful. The loyal soul. That's why they've given him Sally, I think.
Lewis, do you believe in ghosts? Some tourists claim they've seen some here.
Oh, yeah, the reputed ghost. They besieged us for weeks on end after Murray planted that rumour. A whole pack of them completely trashed the garden.
Lady Eleanor said she gave you the option of going back home to Wales, and even offered some money to get you set up.
I don't know what that's got to do with you.
I just find it strange. You desperately want to go back, and are even offered some money, too.
And then? Work as a caretaker in a new bloody housing estate? I've offered more than once to look after the castle in Wales, and keep it in working order. But apparently there's not enough money for that.
So, it's not so much about going back to Wales. It's more about going back to your castle and your garden.
That's right.
What you really want is to turn back time. Unfortunately, that's never been possible. Well, see you later.
Not if I see you first.
An ancient well. You can't imagine that it's still in use. Even this place must have a normal water supply by now. The floor here is rain-sodden and very muddy. Apparently, these things are to blame for the English still driving on the left. If you were to guide your horse with your right hand, you'd run the risk of being squashed between the wagons. Lady Victoria's on the phone. Let's see.
I don't know if it's him. Don't we have a photograph?
Young man. It's not befitting, even for a policeman, to eavesdrop behind closed doors.
I didn't mean to. Pardon me.
Were they talking about me? But why should Lady Victoria, of all people, cooperate with the Order? She's got more of a reason than anyone else to want to put an end to the curse. Sally doesn't really seem to put her all into her job.
Hello.
Oh, hello. A living soul, here?
My name is Falk, Inspector Falk. I'm a policeman.
A copper? How exciting. I'm Sally.
Do you know this woman?
Never seen her before. Looks a bit like a snob.
I don't suppose there are pictures of all the cooks who have worked here by any chance.
No idea. Must be ages ago, though, since there was an actual cook here. Ask Bates, he knows everything.
I'd prefer not to ask either him or Lady Victoria.
Then I don't know either.
You and Bates look after everything here?
Well, looking after. Bates does most of that. He lets me do all the dirty work, cleaning, cooking, and all that sort of thing.
Isn't that your job?
That's what he says all the time. But being honest, I'd expected something quite different, you know? I mean, a castle with such knobs living in it. You'd expect the odd soiree every now and again.
Or, cute prince.
Well, Charles is off the market now. But anyone under 80 would do this place a world of good. Sometimes it really does seem like a grave here.
Lewis seems to take care of his car rather better than the garden.
That's for sure. Ever since I've been here, he's been doing something to it nearly every day. And when he's not fixing it, he's either polishing or driving around in it.
Has he driven it this morning?
This morning? Yeah, he did. I heard him starting it up. You can't help but hear that.
But you didn't see him.
I know exactly what that car sounds like. When he's working on it, he must start it something like 20 times a day.
But you weren't able to see whether or not Lewis or somebody else was driving it.
Lewis is the only one who drives that car.
Okay. What can you tell me about Lewis?
A disgusting man. Ugh. I was hoping when I started he wouldn't be a snob like all the others are here. But he's just as boring and in a permanent bad mood. I never get more than 3 words out of him.
Is Lady Victoria a good boss?
I don't know. Bates hardly lets me talk to her. When I first came here, I made her ladyship a few suggestions on how she might want to redecorate the castle a bit. Just get rid of a bit of the mustiness, you know? Since then, I always have to ask Bates if I want something from her ladyship.
What's wrong with Lady Eleanor?
What could be wrong with her? Snore. Sits around all day either knitting or reading.
Anything else?
She plays piano for Lady Victoria every now and again. In this house, that counts as having a wild party. You know, it's about time I got myself another position.
You want to leave?
Yeah, sooner rather than later. Maybe to a movie or a pop star's house. Somewhere where things are a bit lively at least.
Can you tell me anything about Samuel's ghost? Apparently it's been seen by a few tourists.
Oh yeah, I've seen it too. At one of the windows. It scared the living daylights out of me. A gruesome face. I hope I'll never see it again.
Huh. That's true. At which window?
I don't remember exactly. I think it was in the Forbidden Wing.
Forbidden Wing.
Yeah, you know, what's behind the locked door in the hall.
Okay, I won't keep you from your work any longer.
Ah, don't worry about it.
A pair of old rubber boots. They're as clean as when they were made, though. Perhaps they belong. Kitchen range that could really only be found in furniture catalogs of the last century. You can't really make out anymore what this picture's supposed to be. Perhaps it's not such a good idea to hang pictures directly above the stove. Well, the dishes are well looked after. But you can't hide their age. They're becoming faded. An empty vase. It looks old, like everything here. That's the hanging of meat. Or playing pirates. A coffee grinder is the last thing I'd have expected in an English castle, but it looks really new and unused. The door is bolted. Might lead to a storeroom or a cellar. A few teaspoons. They're all well polished and lined up in a neat row. I'm just gonna take a spoon. Two little metal pots. Judging by the layer of dust, they're no longer used. Lewis toolbox. Various wrenches, a cloth, a hammer, pliers, all the things you need. Huh. I think I'll take the big hammer. I could also use it as a weapon if I need to, which might be the case in this place.